So in this video, we point at things, but that top one's a little bit short. We drill a big hole. We play suspension part snap. And I tighten my nipples. Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage. In this video, we're continuing work on my 1937 Scott. Yeah, we've got all these new fork seals to go in, so we're going to assemble the fork internals and put the newly reconditioned upper and lower yokes with the new stem onto the forks and assemble them. And then once the seals are replaced, put all the fork internals in, ready for the fork tubes to go on. Yeah, so, but before we do that, we're just going to have a little overview, little look around the Scott, a few other little jobs we're going to be doing sort of along the way or in the future. Okay, so yeah, come along. So, as we continue work on the forks, I thought I'd just take you around the Scott as we can see it. Now the sun's out and it's not raining. See a few little jobs that need sorting. A couple of little ones on the carb. I mean, take it apart, just check all the airways and jets are clear. And there's a little dink here on the thread on the mouth of the carburetor there, and it's just stopping the bell mouth from screwing on nicely, so that needs massaging back into shape. Studs could do with a bit of work. The bottom ones are okay, these ones, but that top one's a little bit short. So definitely want to sort of see if I can get that out without causing any damage, and pop a new one in there. We'll do that one first with a bit of heat and gently catchy monkey. But if it comes out okay, we might sort of just tidy the bottom ones up as well. So there's that to do. The magneto was timed up, but it is sitting at a bit of an angle, so that needs squaring up. And I will go through the timing again just to check it. We'll also drop off the crank doors, have a look inside, check the mains in there, check that they're okay. Also take off the oil lines here and here and squirt some oil through, check the non-return valves are working and the oil is getting down through the drillings into the main bearing, roller bearing. And also there's I can't remember for the life of me what it's called, but they don't have rubber oil seals. They have like a sprung disc that runs, or a ground disc that runs against another ground surface, and that creates your crank seal at the back of the engine. So I need to check there's oil coming through that and it's all clean in there. I know it has got oil in it. You've got a little sort of sump area down the bottom there. Another job to do is I think I'm going to renew these oil lines here. One, because they're old, you know, and they've had oil sitting in them, so you don't know how clear they are. So I think we'll put some new ones on, and we know we've got sort of a decent flow of oil. But also some of these bends here leave a little bit to be desired. That one there looks a bit kinked. That one looks not so bad, but still kinked. And these are a bit squashed over. I'm going to try and make a little bender that will bend these without squashing them. And then where this one runs, I'm not sure if it runs under the chain or the chain runs underneath it, but it's a bit beaten about around there and it's been straightened out. So I think the easiest thing to do is just make up a new set to go on there. And then moving back before we put the gearbox on, I've talked about this before, these are the brake rod support brackets, and they also support the back of the gearbox under tray. And we've got a little issue with these. The first one was there weren't any grease nipples in, but as you can see here, I sort of went to start to clear them out and put a thread in. Just started to drill a clearance hole for 1/4 BSF to put the grease nipples in, and discovered paint come off and there's a thread in there already, so hopefully we can just run a tap through that. I'll just poke the drill down through the top of that, hopefully poke that out, tap them, grease nipples can go on, job done. So having found the thread, just cleaned it up and installed the new grease nipples on there. And the other problem is this tray is a little bit wide, just a couple of mil. But where it pushes up through these, I mean, this is really tight in here, and it's only got these bolts pushed through, securing it in place. But you can see, yeah, I don't know if you can see on this that way. Yeah, see the gap at the top there, but it's tight at the bottom down there, and it's more obvious on this one here. See, so you've got a gap at the top and it's tight down the bottom. It's because this is too wide between the frame rails. Now somebody is suggesting that the frame rails were bent, but they're pretty straight, that one there and that one there. Scott didn't like using curved tubes when building his frames. That's why you got all this straight framework on the Scots. But anyway, I'll check this, but I think what I need to do is mill a bit off each side of this under tray to give it a bit of clearance. And I think it might have been a problem not just with this bike, because I've got another under tray which I thought I'd try, but that is actually cracked down here, sort of along through there, which would suggest that it's been stressed. You know, it's been squeezed like that over time, causing it to fail down here where it's its sort of weakest point, because you've got this sort of webbing here that supports all this side, but it drops down to allow clearance for the chain there. So you've got a bit of a weak spot running along there. So that needs looking at. So another little job that I have done is just turn up some washers for the brake anchor arm here, because without that washer there was a gap there, and when I took this hub apart, these nuts were loose, which allowed this to sort of move over. But you don't really want it banging around on, you know, on the studs coming out. You want it nice and tight here and nice and tight there. So with that washer on there, that should do up nice and squarely, not cause an issue. But yeah, a few little jobs to get on with. So we're back on the Scott forks, and I've got some of the parts here assembled. We've done all the painting, so they can go back on the bike now. I've got all the seals, all the bits to get them together. So we've got the fork lowers here. Just give them a bit of a wipe out and a flush out, make sure there's no muck in them. They've been upside down for quite a while, so most of it should have come out. And then we've got the sort of bump stop valve slider assemblies, those two there. Got the fork tops there, and then over behind me we've got the new fork tubes and then the old fork tubes, and then we've got the shrouds that go on the fork tubes down the bottom here, and they're held on. There's a grease nipple, and there should be 2 brass screws that hold these shrouds in place. But there's only 1 screw per fork tube, so I need to turn up 2 new ones. I'll turn up 4 because they're small, and I nearly lost one already. 3/16 BSF, so we've got a die here ready to cut those, and then a small bit of brass rod. There's enough there to turn 4 screws out of there. So there's that to do, and then with that done I can start assembling. Got the new fork seals here. There's seals and packers for the seals all there, and then there's the sort of split bushings. The original ones were made out of Paxolin. These are PTFE. They're slightly deeper as well, got a bit more of a surface area, but being PTFE they should be lower friction. So there's all that to go on. Need to assemble those. The tubes are painted. Yeah, make some screws. We've put the push fit pipe connectors on the top of the fork tubes. For those that don't know, originally these were joined with a brazed in copper tube, and unfortunately where they get disturbed over the years, the copper fractures, and when I took them off, yeah, it had fractured completely. So they're very hard to braze. They've sort of got some sort of plating on them, maybe cadmium plating, something like that. So rather than try and do that and maybe, you know, destroy the finish, I came up with using these 8mm threaded push fits that take this nylon tubing, sort of modern, you know, use it on high pressure air, pneumatics, that kind of thing, and that's what's going through it, air. So they should work perfectly, and I can just cut myself a length, mount these bump stop slider assemblies in the top fork yokes, and then just fit the tubing from below, easy peasy. And also, because I can disconnect it, I can probably make a sort of device that's easy to get oil into these to fill them up, rather than trying to get it through this. You normally have to get all the oil through this valve assembly here, you know. Oh, you can get it in through the fork tops as well, but then they say not to take these out because you disturb the copper tube. So catch-22 situation. So we'll find a way anyway. So yeah, there's that to do, and all that to do. So let's get on. So the next job is to put all the fork seals on the fork tube internals and in the shrouds and the fork top nut as well. I've done this one. This has got a new one on. This has got all new seals on it and the PTFE bushings and the new ones in here as well. So there's a seal and a packer in there, and they're really nice. Yes, the chap I got them off of Stoyan's done a good bit of research on these. So they're a bit different to the original ones. The original ones like this one and this one are just square profile O-rings or seals, and this one is actually got a peak on it. So that's sort of like a seal, with an O-ring profile on the outside of it. This bump stop is a little bit thinner because they've made these bushings a little bit deeper, these PTFE bushings. So that's just the bump stop rubber for up there, and then this lower seal is quite involved. Yeah, this seal's quite a technical seal. It's like an X section seal, so sort of in profile it looks like sort of 4 O-rings all glued together. So you got sort of four lips on it, 2 on the inside, 2 on the outside. So yeah, a bit more advanced than the ones that were in there before. So hopefully these will keep the air in really nicely. So I've done this one, but I thought I'd take you through the process on the others and just show you which way they go in, which way round, etc, etc. So I've got the slider assembly mounted in the vise, so we'll just undo the bump stop nut. Remove the bump stop and the washer. I'll just give that a wipe off and a clean. It's an early style Nylox nut. They seem to use looks like the fibre washer material. But what we'll do is just put a bit of Loctite on that. Let me do it back up again so it won't go anywhere. And that allows us to move the slider assembly off, and then we can get this bottom O-ring off, like so, and just like so. So there's that one. Smear a bit of silicone on the new one just to ease it over. Yeah, and you can see this one, don't know if you can see there, it's concave on the back edge, so it's got 2 lips on the back edge, and then it's sort of concave on the outer edge with a point in the middle. So yeah, that gets compressed and those lips get compressed. So yeah, quite a technical little seal. Ease it over like that, over that one, and then pop it in the bottom. It's a bit difficult to get in the bottom, you have to sort of ease it in because it folds over like that. So you just need to go around with a flat edge like that, just squeeze it under the edge, and then it will drop down quite nicely on its own. We're just pushing it, we're not shoving it, just sort of squeezing it down so it drops down below the edge there, and that's that one in. So the next thing to do is rebuild the slider assembly. So that's the bump stop. They're these sort of bushings, and they sort of also retain this this ring here that pushes this seal down. Just give that a clean. Okay, and we'll fish this seal out. That's pretty pliable still. Okay, and then this is the new O-ring seal to go at the bottom, this sort of X section O-ring. Like so. We got this outer seal to go on there like this, like so, and then the packer goes in there like so, pushes down into that seal, and then the new sliders. You sort of start getting these in like so and pushing down on that packer like that, and then they'll slide in. Oh, upside down. Yes, get that in like that, and then just slide it in, squashes it down. There's meant to be a gap between the two, so that's that assembly done. We'll do the seal on the top nut. There we go. That's the easiest way to get that one out. And then again, this has got, there's like an X seal, so it's got like 2 ribs on the outside and then 2 ribs on the inside. So hopefully an improvement on the originals. There we go. Just check it's not folded inside out. No, that's all fine. There we go. So that's that done, all the shrouds. And that just simply drops in there, packer first. There's a bit of paint on there, let's get rid of that. Make sure that seals all the way down, tucked in behind the packer. There you go, and that's that done. So that's all the seals. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the tube. Oh, yeah, and the bump stop. The bump stop just sits on there like that. There you go. Right, let's put that back together. So, bump stop. Back in washer. Bit of Loctite. And then wind this down. About there. There we go, simple as that. Right, let's get on and get these forks assembled. So I've got me 1/4 inch ball bearings. We need 20 top and bottom. top ones are in already. So just pop a bit of grease in there just to contain the balls. Put some on the stem as well, something going rusty. And then just pop them in around there. Throw a few on the floor for good luck. Gradually working through my stash of bolt buying ball bearings, always coming in handy. Right, how are we looking? A couple more around the back and I think we're there. That's it. Just put some grease in the race in the frame. And I finally finished the bottom yoke. By pressing that steering damper plate on. And then welding it in place. So I did try and tack it, but the two dissimilar steels, little tacks just kept cracking. So I had to put some filler rod in there. Ground them down. And then gave it a coat of paint. And that goes up through there like so, squidging into all that lovely grease. Pop that on like that. Pop the top nut on, just to hold it all together. Okay, let's see if we can. Drop them down that way first because I've got the valves on, so leave that one hanging there and move that way. Drop that one in. Like so, then we can line that up. Goes in like so. Oh, goes in no trouble at all. I'll just pop the top nut down there just to stop them dropping down. I won't bed the ceiling just yet. Like that. Okay. And the other one. Like so, like so. Was a little bit tighter. There you go. That's home. Same with that one. Right, starting to get there. What I will do, now I know the length, is just cut my piece of tubing to go up in there. Just make sure we can get that in okay before we get too carried away. So it goes from there. There to about there. Like so. Alright. Is that one home? That's about right. What I'll do is drop that one down. Fighting gravity again. That one across there like that. I think that's in. Yep. Oh yeah, that's in, that's better. Let's do that one again. Let's pop that one back up there. This one down a bit. It's got a bit more room to make sure that pipe's gone in the fitting. See, they're easy to work on. Just yeah, that's in now. Put that back up there. There we go, it's getting better. And that's the pipe underneath the top yoke. Very neat. So before I could paint the fork tubes ready to assemble on the bike, I needed to remount the bronze bushes at the end of the tubes to go over the inner tubes, not rubber inner tubes, metal inner suspension tubes. I didn't have a reamer big enough to do this, so I decided to sort of knock up a honing tool to do it for me. So a bit like Mr. Crispin, he was making one up for one of his cylinders, similar sort of thing, but I just sort of needed to make it up quickly. It's only doing one job. So just turned up a piece of aluminium stock that I had, turned it down to just below the size of the bronze bush, and then on the outside, using a lathe tool, just ran a groove along the length of it at 30-degree intervals. And the way I've done that easily was put the lathe at its lowest speed so that the chuck's sort of nearly locked. Hardly, you really struggle to move it. Popped in on the old digital angle reader on one of the jaws, and then just moved it round at 30-degree increments, and then just ran the tool backwards and forwards past the aluminium, just creating this groove. It's just a channel for the when you're polishing or honing it out, just for all the crap and the rubbish to build up in, rather than sort of building up under the surface that you're running around and then binding up. So yeah, that was easy to do. And then with the grooves cut, just drilled a hole through the centre and then turned a slight taper going in on each end, and that matched a couple of little cones that I turned up to go on the outside of each end on the threaded bar that I had, so that when I put some hacksaw cuts around it, not all the way through, but nearly all the way through, when you've done the nuts up, it pushed in to the hone and just eased it out just slightly, minimal, but just enough to incrementally increase the diameter of this as you were honing it. And I just honed it by hand, put brasso in there, and turned it round and around and around with lots of brasso, and then sort of squeezing it down a little bit, trying the fork tubes until they were a snug fit, because they tight at the top, but because they're old fork tubes, they've got wear in the middle where they've been running. So I wanted to try and keep the bushes as tight as I possibly could. So yeah, tight fit at the fork tube end, but then once you got beyond that to where they normally run, the tolerances were acceptable. So yeah, good job done. But I did find that one of the tubes, it was binding further down. One was okay, one was binding further down, and I just couldn't get enough expansion on this. So what I'd done was cut through one of the slots all the way through, which then meant it wouldn't stay on the spindle that I'd made with the two nuts. It just kept spinning round as soon as it sort of got close to the size. So just pop some wet and dry in the slot like that, and then just folded it over one way. Couldn't have it too far, otherwise it would, too much wet and dry, otherwise it would bind in the hole. Pop it in the hole, and then what you could do is go around with my grips, my pliers, and just squeeze it in different areas, and that would tighten it up, or it would release the pressure so you could get it back out again, and change the paper and pop it back in. And I just kept working that round and round and round with clean bits of wet and dry until the fork tube was a nice fit all the way up and down. So yeah, that worked okay. So there you go, that's as far as we're going with this video. On the next video, we're going to be assembling the inner and outer fork tubes together in the workshop, and then putting them on the bike, filling them with oil, trying to fill them with air, all that kind of thing, good stuff. So yeah, you'll have to sort of come back and see that video. So if you like the video, give us a little like, hit subscribe, and I said if you see that little hypey button kicking around, phones and tablets only, first 7 days, Yeah, that'll be great. And we'll see you in the next video. All right, cheerio. Yeah, Jenkins, is that my screwdriver I've got you to pick up? Thank you. Thieving toe rag. Seal slidey thingy, what's it called? Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage. In this video, nearly. So, got the valve seals. Valve seals. So I had to come up with some idea. I didn't have a big enough